The naked version of wilderness solitude is coming. Also facing challenges alone. Only they didn't have any clothes on them. In addition to the equipment provided in the opening. Everything else we make ourselves. Some people can catch large catfish with their bare hands. You can see how fresh this meat is. Some people don't even get a chance with their bows. You really need to practice. Let's see who's up for the challenge. The players are trickling into the copy. I've done challenges before, but this time alone for 21 days. Plus, no one has local wilderness survival experience. It's harder than ever. Anyway, why don't you just take your clothes off? Some can't wait to get started. I don't know who you think will be the first to leave. Everyone is in their own area. An alliance is impossible. Only by their own strength to complete the challenge. Let's take a look at Shane first. She has put on her assigned dress. I'm a wilderness survival instructor myself. Participate in various training, both on a technical level. In terms of psychological quality, Cheun thinks he's okay. It worked out pretty well in the last challenge. Losing a partner doesn't make a difference, does it? The main thing is confidence. The only thing I worry about is the temperature. It's too cold in the desert, after all. Without fire, it literally freezes into ice at night. Don't look at walking now. Actually, this little bush is pretty sharp. It's like the meat's going to be cut off. Plus, it's only in the teens. The cold made the car shiver. Except for the usual gear. She also brought fishing tools. The show prepared skins for the contestants. At least they don't freeze people out the first day. Karin think the program group finally did a personnel. She can't wait to roll up and go to bed. Anyway, now we gotta find a place to camp, okay? Take advantage of the physical strength at the start, trying to get as close to the extraction point as possible. The show gave her a good rating. Chane kept on walking away like this. Finally found a water source. What's surprising is that the catfish is just lying there. Oh man, can we start with barbecue? Unfortunately, time does not permit. Cheun has to build shelter and a fire first. Come back tomorrow and try to catch catfish. And Susan on the other side, still looking for the right place. This is her 5th time taking part in the challenge. There is encouragement and help from partners in the front. Face challenges alone. I still feel a little lonely, although said twice not done. But she thinks she's okay. You have to prove yourself. However, ants got to him in the first place. All kinds of creatures were waiting nearby. The shelter needs to be ready before dark. How else would you stay up until dawn? This is a tropical rainforest. The jungle is a tough place to walk. Plus rain from time to time. I've been torturing people to death. And all kinds of gadgets crawling up on you. Susan thought this was a real human challenge. They're all here. What does she say to the end? We need to get the shelter up and running. So far it's going well. Keep going at this pace. Susan is confident he can take on the challenge. And look here at Friendo. I was a little lost. The sounds of various animals. I'm afraid we're going to start with a fight. As a fire chief, often have to face all kinds of complicated situations. Judgment needs to be made quickly. But come for the challenge. I was all kinds of entanglements. Don't know where to go. The first few challenges were fine. Just facing new circumstances. You really need to think about it. Spiders are pretty venomous over here. Frando didn't want to pull out of the challenge because of injury. There are a lot of dangerous animals around. I can't feed them on my own. I asked the show crew for a bow. It's the only way to feel better at night. We need to get to the water now. We need the shelter done before dark, or the neighbors will really miss it at night. The previous 3 challenges were successfully completed. In theory, there's no problem this time, okay? It's when a person gets panicky. There are many potholes in the road. It's clear that elephants are also looking for water. Save yourself the digging. Wouldn't waste time looking for water here. He can follow the elephants to the water source. The camera goes to Carla. She's halfway through the shelter. Try to get the fire done before dark. The challenge was going pretty well. One time it didn't work out. The environment was worse then than it is now. She is confident that she can complete the challenge. Not that I had any trouble hunting before, but really facing challenges alone, I still feel a little panicked, especially because of dangerous creatures at night. Shelter and fire are especially important. I can't sleep at night. I thought having a firearm would be easy, but it's wetter than I thought. Carla tried for a long time, but it didn't work. Every time it goes out after a while. I'm a little down right now, though, but we have to keep trying. It's too dangerous to be out in the open without fire. Frando is still looking for water. It's so hot he's kind of screaming, Mommy. Suddenly, I saw an elephant ahead of me. There's no way to hunt. He just wanted to get a sip of water. Look at the elephant drinking so happily. I'm too embarrassed to bother. I was thinking about taking a detour. Suddenly, the nearby animals started running. Frendo's CPU is drying out. Is there anything exciting going on here? It doesn't matter that much. Check the water source first. Unfortunately, no stream passes through here. It's barely a water source. Let's find a place to build a shelter first. Kara's still fighting the fire. The surrounding humid environment. Make yourself feel really bad. I can't help but think back to the failure of the last challenge. The mood is getting lower and lower. I mean, it's all in my head, but the hand keeps working. It took a while to get some fire out. Carla takes care of it. A good night's sleep depends on the fire. Wait until the flames burst into flames. The hanging heart is finally relaxed. At least tonight, there's no fear of an animal attack. Try to get a roast tomorrow. Cheun's finished with the shelter. She needs to gather more firewood before it gets dark. Compared to rainforests and grasslands, I think the desert challenge is more difficult. After all, the show provided the hides. You can imagine how cold it gets at night. Susan's shelter is only a half-finished project. If the ground wasn't infested with ants, you don't have to build a platform. Although people think there's a lot to eat here. But Susan's really taking it a little hard. I'm worried it's going to rain tonight. This shelter doesn't even know if it's going to hold. It's been a long day, so I guess it's done. It's just not very comfortable lying on it. And Frendo listened to the animals. The mood is very uneasy. I don't know if the shelter can hold up now. The buffalo were just walking around next door, most afraid of an elephant stomping itself into a patty. Don't expect to sleep at night. A little bit of squinting would be nice. At night, Cheun even with hides and flames, still shivering with the cold. As much as I want to lie down and sleep, but it's really cold. Kara's also facing a storm. We don't know if we can hold the fire. Firewood is quite plentiful at present. She's going to slowly move the fire inside. Avoid being extinguished by heavy rain. There are a lot of carnivores around Frendo. Right now, that's a lot of tension. He could even feel the animals breathing. I don't expect to sleep tonight. Others are still worried about being attacked. Susan's been overrun by crawlers. Worst of all, the rain is falling. Let's just hope it's not a storm. But it didn't help. The rain is getting heavier and heavier. She had to put some branches on it for a roof. I can barely sleep down there at night. The challenge continued today too. The grass is starting to frost and shane. The stockpile of firewood is almost gone. I'm going to collect a bunch every day. The worst part is there aren't any nearby. I had to look further afield. My toes have gone numb. I just want to put it in the fire. Cheun is going to cut part of the hide off. It's only better if you wrap your feet. It takes more material than you thought. She thought it was worth it. Would rather curl up at night. I don't want to get frostbite on my feet. Now, we just need to sew the line back together. 100% pure leather shoes. Warm and do not wear feet. The mood is so good. There are a lot of animals here in Frendo. He's going hunting. I was hoping we could get some barbecue. It's the hyena pack that's a little tricky. They're more ferocious than lions. He felt like he was in a zoo. Are they really all kinds of animals? Now we need to find an ambush and wait. This is the best place to go for a spin. Use the surrounding branches to decorate. In theory, there should be a gazelle to drink. Even if it's a small head, it'll feed itself to the end. I'm afraid it might scare the nearby elephants. When they come at us, no one can hold them off. I can only be more careful. To cover up the smell, he smeared the elephant on his body. It makes me sick to think about it, but it does work. The antelope on the other side of the river didn't see them, cautiously approaching the front. It's only the second day someone's going to eat meat. Frando was just about to shoot. There was a cry from the herd. Man, you don't even give yourself a chance to try. Susan was a lot worse off. I didn't sleep well all night. When I woke up, I had to put up the roof. The question is now raining again. The happiness is not great. I can still work. It's hard just to rekindle the fire. The wood around here is wet. Plus, it's already damp. It doesn't matter how powerful the firearm is. I had to look around for other materials. The best option right now is a termite nest. Just one part is enough. Save the rest for later. It does get a lot better when you join the termite nest. But it still didn't light the fire. We had a partner to keep us warm. I'm on my own now. The body can really get frostbite without fire. So busy from day to night. And yet there was no light. The mood is so low. Now I have to carry it until dawn. Day 3 of the challenge. Che-un is going to make a fish spear. Let's see if we can catch that catfish. The wood around here would be a good fit. Just a few clicks with a machete. Now we just need to process it from the middle. It was a little big after all. The hardness of this tip has to be sharp. Place on the fire to harden. It'll be a lot better like this. Che-un has faith in the hunt. Now here's the problem. The catfish I saw earlier didn't know where to go. When Che-un was stealing for the show, the catfish are basking next door. Che-in cautiously approached. The catfish is smoother than expected. There's nothing the weapon can do about it. In the end, you have to do it with your hands. Boy, such a big catfish. Enough to feed her for days. Che thought if I could get a few more. The rest of the day will be easier. Not so good with Susan. The fire wasn't even built. I can't even sleep at night. Only squint a little when the sun comes out. She now goes to find dry wood, plus the termite nest from before. Theoretically, it should be able to ignite. Try to light it as soon as you get back. But the magnesium bars are running out. There's still not a spark here. Should we switch to a bow drill for fire? The mood is so broken. She didn't expect the fire to be so difficult. You have to gather as much material as you can. I hope it goes well. Compare that to Che-un here. I'll see how bad things are for Susan. The water has boiled on the other side of the pot. You can start enjoying a catfish feast. Every bite is collagen. It feels like it doesn't even need to be cooked. It's even more delicious when eaten raw. Too bad there's no seasoning to spice it up. Otherwise, the little life will be more comfortable. Little challenges to take. And this is where Susan is being held. The shelter wasn't meant to be sheltered. There's no fire yet. I've been able to fight it so far. It really depends on the fat you usually accumulate. Go on like this. I'm not going to make it through the week. The thunder was getting louder and louder. It's getting worse and worse. Except to hold yourself tight. There's really nothing you can do. What's the challenge here? It's like torturing myself. Anyone else wouldn't have been able to handle it. Day 4 of the challenge. Susan has been tortured to death. There's a lot of gaunt visible to the naked eye. Even if I managed to light the fire yesterday, a leak in the roof would extinguish it. Susan thought about this for a long time. Is there really nothing that can be done to change the situation? I can't spend the rest of the night like this. The only way she could think of, that is to give up the challenge and go home. It's the only way we don't have to worry about rain. The show crew is going to come and ask questions right away. You know, Susan can still hang on if he tries. It's just that she's broken. Mentally, you've decided you've failed. No matter what the show tells you, Susan doesn't even think he can do it. As soon as it gets dark, it's all over. The show respects the wishes of the contestants. So Susan gave up the challenge on the 4th day. It is much harder to face the challenge alone, or how the other contestants did. Let's hope we don't give up the challenge so soon. If you ask what do you look forward to most in wilderness survival, I'm sure it wasn't for naked survival. I want to see what the contestants eat. Players with better luck. That's the worm that eats the fruit. That's several times the protein of beef. Of course, there are powerful people. Just grab the chameleon in your hands. Most people probably have it. It tastes like a tunnel. Real name recommended to try. The challenge continued on the 4th night. Chaun is enjoying a catfish feast. The one we caught weighs 15 pounds. Don't worry about going hungry for a week. You don't have any spices to use. It's either roast or boil. It's all about the freshness of the ingredients themselves. What could be more comfortable right now? Other players were not so lucky. Like Taylor was a little nervous in the beginning. I've tried being out in the wilderness by myself before. But that was before she was a woman. I don't really care what other people think. The most important thing is to be happy with yourself. The equipment provided is still relatively comprehensive. What's interesting is Tyler didn't have a firearm. She didn't think it was the right place for a field challenge. I can make a fire by myself in various ways. So he gave up the firearm without looking back. Boy, you can take it with you. It's all over when you really need it. The altitude is higher now. Even a firearm might not work. There are big cats out at night. It's really dangerous without fire protection. My challenge partner broke down. He was sad for a long time. Now the start is alone. It'll feel easier. She was going to camp in the trees near the water source. The resources there are absolutely abundant. Enough to last me 21 days. Hurry up and get there. It's just not a smooth walk. The rugged terrain and lack of oxygen. Your body uses more energy than you think. The show spoke highly of Taylor. Feel very hopeful to complete the challenge. It took a while to get to the river. Tyler feels really tired, as much as I'd like to lie down. But the asylum gains have to be kicked out. He intends to clear the ground. It doesn't have to be perfect. A place to lie down is enough. I'm very thirsty now. There was no time to try to make a fire. Had to dig a soak-away well next to the river. It can filter out most harmful substances. Don't look at the dirty water. Definitely cleaner than the river next door. Just hit the water with your hands and drink. It tastes better than I expected. Just a little too much physical exertion. I fought my fatigue and continued to perfect the shelter. As long as it doesn't rain heavily. This shelter is going to last a while. It must be too late to make a fire tonight. Make sure the shelter is comfortable. Now he just wanted to lie down and rest. Let's take a look at Jamie's situation. He was cutting a path for water with a machete. It's more dense than I thought. I'm a wilderness survival coach. I know exactly how challenging it is here. Now we need at least a walking path. It's hard to find a place to camp. My hands are numb from this whole walk. Although the first challenge was a comfortable one, there is no need to worry about food and drink. But he broke down on the second challenge. He broke down in just 2 days. This time I was able to come back for the challenge. I was very nervous, not as blindly confident as before. He will work hard to complete the challenge step by step. It's just that this thick swamp isn't easy either. There are annoying gnats everywhere. Too many bites will cause problems sooner or later. Jamie just wants to get the shelter ready. Although the environment here is worse than the last challenge. But I was prepared in advance. Just stick to the plan. Theoretically, if there was a fire to drive away the mosquitoes, there's still a chance we'll make it to the end. Hurry up and get the fire out first. The material here is relatively dry. Jamie has to get the wood done. Get as many shavings as you can. This is a more successful way to use a firearm. It took a while to light it up, as long as it's not raining when the shelter is built. Day 1 was the perfect start. No sooner had he said that than thunder was heard. Let's just say Jamie's not having much luck. In case the fire goes out, he has to watch from outside the cave. All we can do now is gather more firewood. Make sure you can keep the fire going overnight. Jamie thinks it's okay. At least for now, my body can handle it. The camera goes to Taylor. She wanted to have a good rest, but it's not a very good shelter. Plus, there's no flame to keep mosquitoes away. Has been bitten a little skeptical life. It's not so good with Jamie either. There are bumps all over the skin. A little worried about what happened before. He didn't want to be crushed by mosquitoes again. Now except for the howl of incompetence. There's really nothing you can do, Any beat is a patch of gnats. The mood is very bad. The challenge continued to day 2. Jamie has been badly bitten by mosquitoes. He was all red. Sooner or later, he'll be sent home for this. What can you do to keep mosquitoes away? He would rather face the lion. I don't want to be around mosquitoes. All I can think of so far is termite nests. Although most players use it later. Didn't think it worked, but it's the best you can find in the wild. Jamie soon found a big guy. Don't even think about it. Just bring it back. If this doesn't work, I'm afraid it's hard to continue the challenge. Plus the protection of mosquito nets. Jamie feels like he's on his feet again. Tyler's got a lot of gnats too. She doesn't even know what to say. Okay, you should have soaked it in insect repellent before you got here. I don't want to be bitten all the time. Tyler kept whipping his body. If you don't know, you think you're dancing. The mood is getting angrier anyway. I'd like to burn this place down. She admitted she didn't have a firearm. It was a little louder, but I still insist on the bow drill fire. We'll not give up because of mosquito harassment. It's just that the materials around it aren't quite right. This is the only wood that's a little better. Take it back for processing. Taylor often uses a bow drill to start a fire. The wood isn't perfect though, but we can make up for it with technology. Feel no matter where. I can light it up on my own. It's time to show the real tech. We thought there would be ashes soon, but try again and again. I can't even hold it when I rub it. It made Tyler's mouth smell sweet. There is a difference between theory and practice. So now go back and get the firearm. Maybe we can get the fire going before dark. This could take days. Tyler still hasn't got the fire going. She was a total emotional wreck. Day 5 of the challenge. Frando is still trying to hunt. I wish I could eat the whole antelope. Only the ambush site was destroyed by the herd. There's still a lot of poop up there. There's nothing you can do with them. We got everything we need for the early stages. Lack of food to fill the stomach. The mood is getting lower and lower. Mingming practiced shooting every day before he came here. All kinds of tricky angles are fine. Now he wants that bird in the riverbed to practice. The two sides still have a long way to go. I was slowly approaching the target. Before they know it, Frendo took a straight shot at it. There were no surprises. I'll be hungry again tonight. The camera goes to Che-un. The temperature at night was really low. Every now and then you have to get up and add firewood. I wish I could get some bigwood back. You don't have to worry about it going out all night. Don't look at her so close to the fire. But it will be cold and shivering. It's even worse on Jamie's side. It's been raining there all night. He had to stay by the fire. It was kind of sad. I didn't expect a frog. Of course, Jamie won't let the food go. He's a pretty big guy. I just had it for breakfast. I'm feeling a little better. Jamie thought he could just stab it. I can't believe this frog wants to live. One jump and get out of here. Jamie was totally unaware of it. I waited until dawn to find out. Does he even doubt he caught it last night? Why does it seem like a dream? Maybe some other animal took it away. Anyway, the mood is not beautiful. The camera goes to Che-un, waking up in the cold every day. The lip is split on the other side. Everything is covered with frost. If it wasn't for the hide, I wouldn't be able to stay for half a day, but endure the cold every night. It's really not something that most people can accept. She really wanted to ask the show crew. I don't know who picked this place. If you have an opinion about yourself, just say it. Now we need to find a way to perfect the shelter. The best thing is to build a small house. This will keep out the cold wind. It also keeps the heat inside. The branch can no longer satisfy itself. We're going to need rocks to keep us warm. It takes a lot of energy though. Now we need some Y-shaped branches for support. She intends to build such a structure. Maximum heat retention. It takes a lot of energy, you can see that. Che-un is also worried that the shelter is not ready. I can't hold myself down anymore. The finished product looks pretty good. Pack the rest of the catfish into your belly. I don't know where I can catch these again. The camera goes to Frendo. The ambush site was destroyed by the herd. There's no choice but to look elsewhere now. Actually, the neighborhood looks pretty much the same. This is where the vegetation is a little bit richer. A lot of animals from next door came to drink. Too big to handle on your own. Preferably something smaller. I hope the elephants don't come back. Frendo waited for a long time. I didn't think anyone was going to show up. Take the bow and aim now. Nothing happened, and the antelope was there laughing at him. So angry that Frendo shoots another arrow. Turns out he's really bad at it. Frendo quibbled. It's not that my seconds are not accurate. The show gave us a bow. No. They say they scare their prey right after they shoot. Unless you can get closer. It's too hard to shoot from long range. Taylor's got a lot of material here. Now let it dry out in the sun. Hopefully this will improve the fire success rate. She's just too stubborn. If we start with a firearm, where does it take so much time and energy? Tyler's gonna go get some water now. The seep well is getting dirtier. She thought she might as well drink the river water. Running water is not necessarily safe though, but at least you'll feel better psychologically. Now, let's see if we can make a fire. Tyler's pinning all his hopes on this. However, the effect is not as good as expected. Often I can't hold it in half, except for the incompetent roar. Can't think of anything to do. It was so close. She thought the challenge was hopeless. Do we really have to go back for the firearm? So many days of persistence seems like a joke. Tyler couldn't just walk away from the challenge, but can't seem to get the fire started. The camera goes to Jamie. Traces of mosquito bites have subsided quite a bit. Turns out termite nests are kind of useful. I'm not going to get stung home this time. Go see what's good around here. It'd be nice to get some meat. It's a nice thought. It would be nice to pick up some fruit. You look for nuts with holes in them. That bug in there is the real treat. Good harvest today. A big bag full of nuts. More protein in theory than a cow. In order to facilitate their own worm out. And a branch to hold it in place. Just grab the nut like this. I don't have to worry about cutting my hand off. Bugs taste really good. It's kind of like eating coconut. The mood is getting better and better. The camera goes to Friendo. Still waiting for the prey to come. Patience is a real thing. It's just the elephants are next door. Even if there's a real prey walking in front of us. I dare not disturb the opposite side. We can only hope they leave soon. Friendo was suddenly excited. Man, I didn't even get a good look. Just say you got it. That was a pretty quick move. I mean, small is small, but it's nice to have something to eat. But then again, he's never had a chameleon in his whole life. Are you sure this tastes good when cooked? It doesn't matter that much anymore. Take the chameleon back to the grill immediately. Don't expect any seasoning, okay? It has to be 100% authentic. The meat tastes better than expected. Kind of like eating chicken. It's a really good dish. But I hope we get some meat. I think the worst thing is Taylor right now. There's no protection from fire. You'll be getting mosquito bites all night. It always feels like something's going down the hole. Hardly any sleep. Every now and then I get a bite. If I could live my life again, I would have brought a firearm. I've been tortured into losing my temper. Take a look at Cheun. The new shelter was not as warm as expected. The rocks over here are freezing cold. It's not as comfortable as a tree branch. Chin's kind of regretting the shelter. It's really like the inside of the freezer. Each player records the time, so that the days can be looked forward to. Otherwise, your mental state will deteriorate. That's what you wake up to every day. Day after day. The challenge is on its 7th day. All Tyler's thinking about right now is a firearm. He's wondering if the show ever recycled it. I really need fire. Why didn't you bring it with you? There's no point in saying more now. If there's no fire tonight, she may have to give up the challenge and go home. Think long and hard. Finally decided to go back for the firearm. The drill made a fire and hurt itself. The way back is uphill. You can imagine the energy consumption. She's probably the first one back to the starting line. And there's a lot of rotting leaves on the mountain. These increase carbon dioxide levels. Breathing that was becoming more and more difficult. Tyler's having a hard time with himself. You can only take a break every time you walk. Cheun is very cold here. She doesn't know why the shelter didn't work. At least it used to be physically tough. Now my whole body is shaking. It's the stones or the lack of firewood. My toes are starting to go numb. Is it really going to get cold? I wonder how the other contestants did. Let's wait and see.